Have you ever noticed that getting up from a chair feels harder than it used to? Maybe climbing stairs now takes more effort, or carrying groceries feels heavier than it once did. Many people assume this is simply a normal part of aging, but doctors now understand something important. In many cases, it's not just getting older. It may be a condition called sarcopenia, a gradual loss of muscle that often begins after the age of 60. The surprising part? Research shows that muscle loss can happen quietly, long before people realize it. And if nothing is done, it can affect strength, balance, independence, and overall health. But the good news is this: many daily habits can help slow it down, and in some cases, even improve muscle strength again. Today, we're going to talk about what sarcopenia is, why it becomes more common as we age, and what simple steps may help protect your muscles. Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Miller. I spend a large part of my time reviewing medical research, so I can explain what it really means for people over 60. Medical studies often contain complicated language and technical details, but my goal is to translate that research into simple, practical advice that can help you protect your health and stay active as you age. Today we're going to talk about a condition many people have never heard of, yet it affects millions of older adults. It's called sarcopenia, and it plays a major role in strength, mobility, and independence later in life. Before we continue, if you enjoy learning about health in simple, science-based ways, consider subscribing to the channel. Our goal is to share reliable information that helps people over 60 understand their bodies and make confident health decisions. In today's video, we'll cover 4 important things. First, we'll explain what sarcopenia actually is. Second, we'll talk about why it becomes more common after age 60. Third, we'll look at what happens inside the body when muscle begins to decline. And finally, we'll discuss simple daily habits that may help support muscle strength as we age. These habits are not extreme or complicated. They are realistic steps many older adults can begin using right away. Let's take a moment to really understand what sarcopenia means, because once you understand what is happening inside your body, the entire topic becomes much clearer. The word sarcopenia may sound complicated, but the meaning is actually very simple. It just describes the gradual loss of muscle tissue over time. In other words, the muscles in the body slowly become smaller, weaker, and less sufficient. This change usually happens very slowly. Most people do not notice it at first, and that is why many adults over 60 are surprised when they suddenly realize certain everyday activities feel harder than they used to. For example, have you ever noticed something like this? Maybe standing up from a chair now takes a little more effort, or perhaps climbing a flight of stairs leaves your legs feeling tired more quickly. Some people notice it when carrying groceries. Others notice it when opening a heavy door, lifting a suitcase, or getting up from the floor. These small changes often feel like they happen suddenly, but in reality, they usually develop gradually over many years. Now here's something important to understand. Muscles are not just for athletes or people who lift weights in a gym. Muscles are involved in almost every movement your body makes. They help you stand up. They help you walk. They help you maintain balance so you don't fall. They help protect your joints. They even help control how your body uses sugar from the foods you eat. And they play a role in something doctors call metabolism, which simply means how your body turns food into energy. So muscles are doing a lot more behind the scenes than most people realize. In fact, I often tell my patients to think of muscle as the engine of the body. Imagine a car with a strong, powerful engine. It runs smoothly. It moves easily. It responds quickly when you press the gas pedal. But if that engine slowly becomes smaller and weaker, the car struggles. It takes more effort to move. It may stall or slow down. In a similar way, when muscle mass declines, the body can begin to feel less energetic and less stable. Now here is something that surprises many people. Muscle loss does not suddenly start at age 60. For most adults, it actually begins much earlier. Research shows that small amounts of muscle loss can begin somewhere between age 30 and age 40. But during those early years, the changes are usually so small that people hardly notice them. The body is still strong and active enough to compensate. However, after the age of 60, this process can begin to speed up. Doctors sometimes describe this as a turning point, where the balance between muscle building and muscle loss starts to shift. Your body is still capable of building muscle, but it may not do so as easily as it did in younger years. Without certain supportive habits, muscle mass may gradually decline. Some studies suggest that adults can lose around 3 to 5% of their muscle mass every decade after middle age. Again, this does not happen overnight. It happens slowly. And that slow change is exactly why many people don't notice it until daily activities begin to feel harder. Now let's talk about why this matters. Many people think muscle is only about strength or appearance, but muscle health is deeply connected to overall health and independence, especially after the age of 60. When muscle becomes weaker, several things can begin to happen. First, balance may become less stable. Muscles in the legs and core help keep your body steady when you walk or change direction. If those muscles become weaker, the risk of falls can increase. Second, people may begin feeling fatigued more easily. Muscle tissue helps the body produce and use energy efficiently. When muscle declines, everyday tasks may require more effort. Third, metabolism can slow down. Remember earlier when we talked about muscle acting like the engine of the body? Muscle helps burn calories and regulate blood sugar. When muscle mass decreases, the body may process energy more slowly. Fourth, mobility can decline. Activities like walking long distances, climbing stairs, or getting up from low chairs may begin to feel more difficult. And in more advanced cases, muscle loss can affect something very important to many older adults: independence. Independence means being able to move freely, take care of daily tasks, and remain active in the life you enjoy. Now I want to pause here and ask you something. Have you noticed any small changes in your strength or stamina over the past few years? Maybe something that used to feel easy now requires a bit more effort. If so, you're certainly not alone. Millions of adults experience these changes as they age. But here's the encouraging part. Understanding why muscle loss happens is the first step toward protecting your muscles. Because once we understand the causes, we can begin to talk about something much more hopeful. We can talk about what you can actually do to support muscle strength as you get older. And in the next part of this discussion, we're going to look inside the body and explore why sarcopenia happens in the first place. When you understand those biological reasons, the strategies for protecting your muscles will start to make much more sense. Let's take a closer look at what researchers have discovered about why sarcopenia happens. Scientists around the world have been studying muscle aging for many years. In fact, entire research teams focus on understanding how muscles change as we grow older. Institutions like Harvard Medical School, along with many universities and medical research centers, have spent decades studying muscle health in older adults. Their findings have been published in respected journals such as the Journal of Gerontology and the Journal of Nutrition. Now, you don't need to read scientific papers to understand the key message from this research. The important takeaway is this: muscle loss with aging is not caused by just one single factor. Instead, several natural changes occur inside the body over time. These changes affect how muscles are built, how they are maintained, and how they respond to activity. Doctors often describe these as biological mechanisms. That simply means the internal processes happening inside your body. Let's walk through 3 of the most important ones. Understanding these will help you see why certain daily habits become especially important after age 60. First, let's talk about muscle protein. Muscles are made mostly from protein structures called muscle fibers. You can picture these fibers like tiny strands bundled together to form your muscles. But here's something interesting many people don't realize. Your muscles are constantly renewing themselves. Even right now, as you're watching this video, your body is performing a process doctors call muscle protein turnover. That phrase simply means this: old muscle proteins break down, and new ones are built to replace them. Think of it like routine maintenance on a house. Every house needs repairs over time. A loose board gets replaced. A cracked tile gets fixed. Fresh paint covers worn surfaces. When those repairs happen regularly, the house stays strong. The same idea applies to muscle tissue. Your body continuously repairs and rebuilds muscle fibers to keep them healthy. Now here's where aging begins to make a difference. In younger adults, this repair system works very efficiently. Old muscle fibers break down, but they are quickly replaced with new ones, so the muscle remains strong and stable. But as we grow older, that rebuilding process becomes slower. It's a bit like having fewer workers available to repair the house. Repairs still happen, but they take longer. If the rebuilding process slows too much, muscle fibers may gradually become smaller and weaker. Over time, this leads to a gradual loss of muscle mass. And this is one of the reasons nutrition becomes especially important after age 60. Muscles need protein from food in order to rebuild themselves. Without enough protein, the body may struggle to repair muscle tissue efficiently. This is why many doctors encourage older adults to include healthy sources of protein throughout the day. It gives the body the building blocks it needs to maintain muscle. Now let's talk about another factor, hormones. Hormones are chemical messengers that travel through your bloodstream. Their job is to deliver instructions to different parts of the body. You can think of hormones like text messages from the brain telling the body what to do. Several hormones play a role in maintaining muscle strength. Some of the most important include growth hormone, testosterone, insulin-like growth factor. These hormones help signal the body to build and maintain muscle tissue. During younger years, the body produces higher levels of these hormones. They help support muscle growth, repair, and recovery. But as we age, hormone levels naturally begin to decline. This happens to everyone. It is simply part of the body's aging process. Lower hormone levels mean the signals that encourage muscle growth become less powerful. Imagine a construction project where fewer instructions are being sent to the workers. The workers are still there, but they receive fewer signals telling them to build. As a result, the body may not build or maintain muscle as efficiently as it once did. This is one reason why physical activity becomes so valuable later in life. Exercise sends signals to the body that say, hey, these muscles are still needed. Those signals can help stimulate muscle maintenance, even when hormone levels are lower. Nutrition plays a role here as well, because muscles still require the right nutrients to repair themselves. So, movement and nutrition work together to support muscle health. Now let's talk about something many people don't think about when they consider muscle strength. Muscles do not work on their own. They rely on communication from the nervous system. Your brain sends electrical signals through nerves that travel to your muscles. These signals tell your muscles when to contract, relax, and move. Every time you stand up, walk, reach, or lift something, this communication system is working. Think of it like a telephone line between your brain and your muscles. When the signal travels clearly through that line, the muscle responds quickly. But over time, some of these nerve connections can become weaker. Certain nerve fibers that connect to muscle may gradually decline with age. When this happens, some muscle fibers may stop receiving strong signals. And when muscle fibers are not regularly activated, they may slowly begin to shrink. This is sometimes described as the body's use it or lose it principle. Muscles that are regularly used tend to remain stronger. Muscles that stay inactive for long periods may gradually weaken. This is why regular movement is so powerful. Even if the activity is gentle, walking, stretching, light strength exercises, gardening, climbing stairs. All of these activities send signals through the nervous system that help keep muscles active. And when muscles stay active, they are more likely to maintain their strength. So when we step back and look at the big picture, researchers have identified 3 key forces that influence muscle loss with aging. First, the muscle rebuilding process slows down. Second, hormone levels gradually decline. And third, communication between nerves and muscles can weaken over time. But here's the encouraging part. Even though these biological changes occur naturally, lifestyle habits can play a powerful role in supporting muscle health. And in the next part of this discussion, we're going to talk about something very practical. We'll explore simple daily habits that many older adults can use to help protect muscle strength and maintain mobility for years to come. Now let's shift to something encouraging. Up to this point, we've talked about the biological changes that happen inside the body as we age. And while those changes are real, they are not the entire story. What researchers have learned over the past several decades is something very important. Lifestyle habits can strongly influence muscle health. In other words, even though aging affects muscle tissue, the way we live day to day can make a meaningful difference in how strong and active our muscles remain. I often tell my patients that muscles behave a bit like a garden. If a garden is ignored, weeds grow and healthy plants begin to fade. But if that same garden receives water, sunlight, and care, it can stay vibrant for many years. Muscles work in a similar way. When they receive the right signals from movement, nutrition, and rest, they tend to remain healthier. So let's walk through several practical habits that many doctors and researchers recommend for supporting muscle strength after age 60. First, let's talk about strength activity. When people hear the word strength training, they sometimes imagine heavy weights in a gym. But that is not what most older adults need. The goal is simply to activate the muscles so they continue receiving signals that they are needed. Muscles respond to resistance, which simply means the muscle must push or pull against something. Even very light resistance can stimulate muscle fibers. For example, resistance bands are often recommended because they are easy to use and gentle on the joints. Light hand weights can also help activate the arms and shoulders. Some people use exercises like chair squats, where you slowly sit down and stand up from a chair. Others use wall push-ups, which are easier on the wrists and shoulders than floor push-ups. These movements may look simple, but they send powerful signals to the muscles. They tell the body, these muscles are still needed, keep them strong. And here's the good news. You do not need to spend hours exercising. Even 2 or 3 short strength sessions per week can help stimulate muscle activity. Consistency matters more than intensity. Small, regular movements can go a long way toward supporting muscle health. Now let's talk about one of the most accessible forms of movement, walking. Walking is one of the simplest and most natural activities the human body can do. Yet, it provides several benefits at the same time. When you walk, the muscles in your legs, hips, and core are continuously engaged. Your joints move through their natural range of motion. Your heart and circulation also receive a healthy boost. For many older adults, a daily walk of about 20 to 30 minutes can be extremely beneficial. It doesn't need to be fast or intense. A comfortable pace is perfectly fine. Some people enjoy walking in a park. Others prefer walking through their neighborhood. Some even walk inside shopping malls during colder months. The location matters less than the habit itself. Walking regularly helps keep muscles active, supports balance, and encourages mobility. Next, let's talk about something that often gets overlooked: protein intake. As we discussed earlier, muscles are built from protein. Protein provides the building blocks the body needs to repair and maintain muscle tissue. However, many older adults accidentally consume less protein than their bodies need. This can happen for several reasons. Some people eat smaller meals. Others reduce meat intake without replacing it with other protein sources. And sometimes, appetite simply decreases with age. When protein intake becomes too low, the body may struggle to maintain muscle mass. That's why many doctors encourage older adults to include a source of protein at each meal. This does not mean large portions or complicated diets. It simply means making sure the body regularly receives the nutrients it needs to maintain muscle. Now let's talk about something that may surprise you. One of the most important times for muscle repair is while you are sleeping. During sleep, the body performs many important maintenance tasks. Hormones that support tissue repair become more active. Cells repair small amounts of daily wear and tear. Muscle tissue can begin rebuilding after activity. But when sleep is poor or too short, this repair process may not work as effectively. That's why sleep is sometimes called the body's natural recovery system. For most older adults, doctors generally recommend aiming for about 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night, when possible. Of course, everyone's sleep patterns are a little different, but creating healthy sleep habits can support the body's ability to maintain muscle tissue. Another important idea is something I call staying physically engaged with life. Exercise sessions are helpful, but everyday movement matters just as much. Think about the activities you already do throughout the day. Gardening, light housework, carrying groceries, playing with grandchildren, climbing stairs, walking the dog. All of these activities involve muscle movement, and every time muscles are used, they receive signals from the nervous system to remain active. The body responds by keeping those muscle fibers engaged. So staying active does not require a complicated fitness program. Sometimes, it simply means continuing to participate in the activities you enjoy. Now let's talk about a few foods that can support muscle health. Again, the goal here is not a strict diet. Instead, we're focusing on foods that provide the nutrients muscles rely on. One excellent example is eggs. Eggs contain high-quality protein and important building blocks called amino acids. These amino acids help the body repair muscle tissue. Another helpful food group is fish. Fish such as salmon, tuna, and sardines provide both protein and healthy fats known as omega-3 fatty acids. Some research suggests these fats may support muscle metabolism and help the body respond to exercise. Greek yogurt is another convenient option. It contains more protein than many regular yogurts, making it a helpful breakfast or snack. For those who enjoy plant-based foods, beans and lentils are excellent choices. They provide protein along with fiber, which also supports digestive health. And let's not forget nuts. Almonds, walnuts, and pistachios contain protein and healthy fats. They can make a simple snack between meals. When you step back and look at the big picture, the goal is not perfection. Instead, aim for balanced meals that include protein, vegetables, and whole grains. Together, these foods provide the nutrients muscles need to stay healthy. Now you might be wondering something very natural. How long does it take to see improvement? The answer is that muscle health usually improves gradually. This is not an overnight process, but positive changes can begin sooner than many people expect. During the first few weeks, many people start noticing small differences. They may feel a bit more energetic. Balance may feel slightly steadier. Some daily activities may feel a little easier. After about 1 to 2 months of consistent habits, muscle strength may begin improving more noticeably. Getting up from a chair may feel smoother. Walking may feel more comfortable. Climbing stairs may feel less tiring. And over several months of consistency, muscles can continue becoming stronger and more resilient. Daily activities that once felt difficult may begin feeling manageable again. The most important factor in all of this is consistency. Small actions repeated regularly tend to produce the most meaningful results. So, if there is one idea I want you to remember, it's this: you don't need extreme changes. Often, simple habits practiced consistently can support muscle health and help you stay active for years to come. Before we finish today's discussion, I want to talk about something that is very important whenever we discuss exercise, nutrition, or lifestyle changes, and that is safety. Every person's body and medical history is different. What works well for one person may need to be adjusted for another. So, before making major changes to your routine, it's always wise to take a moment and consider your individual health situation. If you're over 60, there's a good chance you may already be managing one or more health conditions. That's very common, and it's nothing to be concerned about. It simply means that certain changes should be approached carefully and thoughtfully. For example, if you are living with diabetes, exercise and nutrition can still be very beneficial. But the timing of meals, medications, and activity levels sometimes needs to be balanced carefully so blood sugar remains stable. Your doctor may want to help guide you on how to introduce new activities safely. Another example is kidney disease. Protein intake is important for muscle health, as we discussed earlier. However, people with kidney conditions sometimes need to monitor how much protein they consume. In those situations, your physician or dietitian can help determine what level of protein is safe for your body. If you have heart conditions, physical activity can still be extremely valuable. In fact, gentle movement is often recommended as part of heart health. But your doctor may suggest starting slowly, choosing specific types of activity, or avoiding certain exercises depending on your cardiovascular health. Some people also deal with chronic joint problems, such as arthritis in the knees, hips, or shoulders. In those cases, certain movements may need to be modified so they do not place unnecessary stress on the joints. A doctor or physical therapist can recommend exercises that strengthen muscles while protecting sensitive joints. And if you've had recent surgery, especially involving bones, joints, or the spine, your body may still be in the healing process. Introducing new physical activity too quickly could interfere with recovery. Your healthcare provider can help you understand when it's safe to begin rebuilding strength again. So the main message here is simple. Lifestyle habits like movement, nutrition, and sleep can be powerful tools for supporting muscle health. But they should always be approached in a way that respects your personal health history. Your doctor knows your medical background and can help tailor these ideas so they fit your individual needs. Think of your doctor as a partner who helps make sure that any new habits you adopt are both effective and safe. Because when it comes to your health, safety always comes first. Now, I'd really like to hear from you. After watching this video, what was the most helpful thing you learned today? Was there a part of the discussion that surprised you? Perhaps the idea that muscle loss can begin earlier than most people expect. Or maybe the fact that muscles can still respond to healthy habits, even later in life. You might also be wondering about your own experience. Have you noticed changes in your strength or mobility over the years? Maybe getting up from a chair feels different than it used to. Or maybe you've already started walking or doing light exercises to stay active. If so, I'd love to hear about it. Your experiences can be incredibly helpful for others who are watching. And if you have a question about muscle health, feel free to share that as well. Your questions often inspire future videos and discussions that help this entire community learn together. So, take a moment and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters here, and many people watching may benefit from hearing your perspective. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I truly appreciate you being part of this conversation. And remember one simple idea that I hope stays with you after this video ends. Small daily habits can support your health in powerful ways over time.